Oh, welcome to another Overtime Every Time, March, with yours truly, Adrian Hanna, Dragon Rainbow Dragon on this cold day again. It is I believe it's the 9th of January, gotta double check, but pretty much sure it's the 9th of January. Thursday. Thank you for those who are going to pick up the compost, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. LOV to the firefighters, LOV to the firefighters. Rock and roll for the firefighters, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors. And although financially stressed, had a busy day, geopolitical analysis, as you know. I'm an independent artist, athlete, philosopher, mystic, and independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted the international conflagration which is parallel and occurring now across the world, and that North Americans unite. Rock and roll song 24/7 since many years now. I predicted what's unfolding now in a general manner, overall manner, back of course in 2019 in October, and I have proof of work. So now we're gonna go all the way, of course, to get it on the zigzag here, and gotta be going around my neighborhood a little bit. It's I gotta be back by, I guess, 10 to 6, 5 to 6. I got a little bit of an appointment for something, and just gonna discard some of that, some garbage here, and gonna go rock and rolling. And gotta salute the bus drivers. LOV to the bus drivers who passed. You know, we're gonna get it a little bit of LOV to the bus drivers, thinking about them a little bit, of the firefighters. And just saw somebody jogging on the jogging. It's always good to do a little bit of jog and encourage all to work out, train, exercise. And there we go. Working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. Auctioning this lion for $1 million to give half to my anonymous friend. And right now my only stress is financial, you know. I am $10,000 in debt to the RBC, got that credit line, and pay 11% interest. And you know, as much as I don't agree with many of the things Trump, and I would have definitely voted for my Scorpio Joe Biden, brother of the star Scorpio Joe Biden, and would have definitely voted for Harris. So I was born in the United States like reincarnations, once as a woman, twice as a man, both times in the same United States Army, served in the U.S. Army, calling for that Canadian Republican Defense Force, Canadian Republican Army, for that Canadian Republican Army, and for that North American civilizational complex to unite in the Democratic Republic. But don't agree with much with Trump, but I could have to make a deal, make some compromises, and of course 10% is what I will to impose. Of course, is a new financial concordium for the 21st century. There's a maximum interest rates, and I heard that Trump said that, and I don't know about that 51st state for that 51st state, you know. But that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with XYZ, and that's what it is, you know. So we gotta get on the going with that, and we gotta get it on the do's, and we gotta get it on the now, you know. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that, you know. So see, you gotta turn your heads left and right now. We're gonna cross the street here, watch the street before you turn, and gotta always exercise and see what's written there. So anyways, for that 10%, we gotta get doing on the go, and sometimes we just gotta meditate and be mindful of everything that's transpiring now, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with that, you know. And we gotta look at on the go, you know. Just make sure you cross the street safely, prudently, you know. Cross the street prudently on that green, and you gotta impose 10%, you know. 10% on all loans thereafter, you know, on all loans thereafter, because you gotta be a new strategy in terms of the finance. So we gotta take some action. Action is required. Let's get rid of the border. North Americans unite. Create a new North American citizen integrated security and service force. A new North American security and service force. And we gotta get doing with that. Sometimes it takes action, you know. Action is required. Look at that lion. From what I heard, they got a new deal. This is an electric, and it's made in Quebec, you know. Here, Quebec or Canadian, North Americans unite. I'm for getting rid of the border, and of course for a common passport, common defense. It's time for the Republic. The king is absent, my brothers and sisters. The king is absent, my brothers and sisters. Quebec or Canadians, the king is absent. The king is absent, the king is absent, and that's what we got to get doing with that, and that's what we got to get for the North American Collective to safeguard the civilization and rebuild the infrastructure, rebuild the North American civilizational complex, rebuild the aqueducts, build the North American Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border with the Forgotten Goddess Temple. That's my will. And construction workers, rock and roll. LOV to the construction workers, LOV to the construction workers, There's that lion again. Lion is the name, of course, of the bus maker. They don't make only buses, but they make electric vehicles. 100% electric vehicles, 100% electric vehicles, 100% electric vehicles. That's what they do, and I always got to be mindful of them, how they produce and all the things that we got in common. And I'm open for business. All the financial stress with my neurodivergent mental psychic condition, of course, is more on the different weird side, because I have HFA, high functioning autism. Let's open the fridge here. Oh, see, we got something. What do we got? I'm gonna take something because I'm financially stressed, but I won't take all. I'm gonna leave something. So let's see, what can I take? What's this? Is this open? Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, because the best before date passed, but I guess if I eat it tonight, it passed the best before date December, but it's still good even after the best before date. Oh, this I'm gonna take from my anonymous friend because my anonymous friend drinks these stuff. If not, I guess I'm gonna be content with myself. So I'm just gonna take half and I'm gonna leave the rest. So see, you can have a chicken bouillon, you can have some of these little things if you want. So that's what it is with that. So you can have the stuff there, so you can come and serve yourself the leftovers and whatever case may be. And this I won't touch. I'm gonna leave it for somebody else. You got some rice here, so you can take some rice. I'm gonna put it back, the rice. So that's what it is with that. And grateful, thank you for the donations. Always appreciate a little bit of food donation for food security. It's the butchers, the farmers that gotta thank first. LOV to the firefighters here also. See, you have some cans, so you can come and enjoy if you want. Enjoy some cans there, so you can check. You can take some black beans. Actually, my friend said to take some black beans, so I'm gonna take these black beans. Thank you. With this, I'm gonna let you got sauce. I'm gonna let for somebody else. The sauce, I'll take the black beans. These are I'm gonna leave for somebody else. This my anonymous friend wanted some beans. These are navy beans. Navy beans. These my cream corn. You can have cream corn. You can have this couscous there. But the beans I'll take. Navy beans. So I'm gonna take those navy beans. I'm just gonna load it up in my backpack once again. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers, and those who made these donations, because I'm only financially stressed now at the moment, My only stress is financial, and I'm on a budget, but I had many employments which I really loved, during COVID, but it was short kind of lived because of my HFA, high functioning autism. Asperger's is a neurodivergent condition, so I had many sufferings, many oppositions or struggles in terms of long-term employment, but I'm always open for business, and I'm a great rock and roll. I rock and roll 24/7, and geopolitics is geopolitics, the study, the analysis of geopolitical theory, and I predicted what's happening now because we have special interests, We got special interests, so I'm just gonna load up the backpack with the beans, and I'm really grateful for these beans, and I'm gonna share because my friend said when you see black beans, black beans. Thank you, farmers. I wonder if it's Quebec or Canadian. I'm gonna check the best before date. Best before end of December 2024, but that means it's still good for a year, maybe 2 or 3 years, because the best before date you got to discern is not the same thing as the expiry date, right? So it's not the same thing. Same for these. And this, of course, says September 2025, September 9, 2025. So this is good, This is good to rock and roll with that. So that's good, So that's what we got. And this one, of course, is December 28, but it's best before date. So I'm going to enjoy it tonight after my workout, maybe share, see for my anonymous friend. This is Quebec local. Canada, Canadian. So double plus good. That's North American. And, of course, the romaine lettuce. I'm gonna take one for me, one for my anonymous friend. If I make $1 million, gonna give 50%. $500 million, $1 trillion, gonna give 50%. So this is some good use for that. For the romaine lettuce, it's always good to have. And that's it. Stack it up and put it in, and there we go. We got some some food, you know, and I'm gonna leave the beans and the cans for somebody else, and in the fridge the rice probably is gonna be gone in an hour, you know, because whenever there's stuff here, there's a lot of people take. So I'm just gonna put the backpack, and we're gonna go overtime, you know. I'm gonna put the backpack on, and oh, I forgot to put one item in. I'm gonna put it now on the side, and I'm gonna check the expiry date on these. This is good for working out, so check the expiry date and the best before date. Gonna see it, best before date, and November 1st, 2024. So, but they're still good a few months, 6 months, 3 months, a year, even maybe even more than a year. Past the best before date, it said November 1st of November 2024. So they passed the best before date. So you can't sell them, but you can consume them, you know. So for consumption, they're okay, but not for sale. That's it. Thank you. Thanks for that donation, and really appreciate it, you know, something that I really appreciate, you know. Food donation there, and thank you farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and oh, and now it's heavy. Now my backpack is, I got those gloves, which I got as a gift, red gloves, the boxing gloves, or of course in my backpack, or the boxing gloves are in my backpack, of course, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the LOV, you know. So the boxing gloves, I got them as a gift whenever I started imposing tariffs on Donald Trump. Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel back in 2019, before 2019, correction, 2018 spring, 2018, correction. I make mistakes myself, but in 2018, of course, Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, 10%, and now with the threat of 25%, say no, alternative, let's unite, create a common passport, and implement my DRT theory for the creation of a universal exchange unit, a common currency that we can call it the new dollar, whatever, because we got the Canadian dollar and the American dollar, but we need to create maybe the universal exchange unit best. It's like parallel to the European Union, a nation, and like I said, I don't know about that 51st state, but I do know that the king is absent. It's time for the Republic. It's time for the Canadian Republican Army, aka North American Security Service and Defense Force Integrated Dragon Army. Pledge your allegiance to our family for a public-private partnership. Let's build together. Gonna LOV those construction workers, because construction workers build all the houses, the complex, the skyscrapers. So I'm always a fan when I see construction workers rock and rolling on the cranes and building the plane, building the buildings. And gotta give a little bit of salutation to the firefighters of North America, LOV, to the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, those who change some diapers in the daycares, you know. Always include them in my marches, in my thoughts as I went for the North American, Canadian, Quebecer, Canadian, North American, you know, fundamental geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist and philosopher, mystic artist who loves to go on marches, and dancing is my favorite sport, you know, dancing is my favorite fitness activity. But as much as I do understand peace through strength, you know, we cannot just base our interactions and philosophies just on strength. We have to have some counterbalance, you know. We got to have some LOV, we can't base everything on strength. We got to have some LOV, some understanding, and let's build together the forgotten goddess, GODDSS, because I credit my survival to the goddess, which credited yours truly, trillions of kisses, to lay for the foundations of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, to lay for the foundations of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, to lay for the foundations. So I'm founding the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the North American Democratic Republic. We need to get the Republican Democratic Party, and we need to have a Democratic Republican Party, and North American dual presidency, co-presidency, co-regency, perhaps something similar to the ancient Roman Republic. But we're new 21st century, so we're gonna play that new, because we gotta ensure that freedom and liberty. And my brothers and sisters, millionaires, Give some charity. Give some charity, please. NFL, National Football League. National Football League. National Hockey League. NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%. I'm going to go zigzag a little bit. 44.9%. 44.9%. 44.9%. That's the estimated cost, yours truly, of how much it would need to be reduced. By that, how much it would need to be reduced in order to be kept in parallel to the prices increasing at the supermarkets, at the markets, and the rents since 2020, February, March, when I had COVID also. I really thought that was it. I thought I was gonna die. COVID for me was like death, pestilence, and disease. When I had COVID, COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease. Like death, pestilence, and disease. I know it sounds like a hardcore death metal song, death, pestilence, and disease, or the name of an album, right? The name of the album that I'm gonna write is "Marry Me a Whore." Married to a whore, son of a whore, or son of a harlot, groom of a whore, fiance of a whore, something like that, you know, groom of a whore, fiance, bridegroom of a whore, or bridegroom of a harlot, son of a whore. That's gonna be my rock and roll album. But nonetheless, you know, I had COVID 2020 February, March. I thought I was gonna die, you know, I thought I was gonna die, and I survived. I can't believe it. I thought that was it, because I thought it was it before. A few years ago I got attacked by surprise, you know, vicious attack in the Montreal Underground Metro. I fell, hit my head, had a dislocated right arm, went to the hospital, got some medication. They replaced my right arm was dislocated, so they replaced it, like crack. And then I was given some medication and for the pain, for the what, and I was kind of like in a coma. So I lived my Cillian Pirate episode. I lived the Cillian Pirate episode also in parallel. I lived the Cillian Pirate episode. But then I moved from a moldy underground place, survived all that, and started working out, training after. I was depressed and suicidal after my move and cross Canada coast to coast in 2017, August, September, and that event made me change my whole life, and I changed my whole life, and that event made me see how many things we have here in Canada, Quebec, how many things we have in common across Canada, you know, how many things we have jointly and in common. So I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, Quebecers in 2017, August, September, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event really changed my whole life. I was depressed, suicidal. That event made me appreciate, you know, this great Canada. Gotta get that republic. Time for the republic. The king is absent. North American Union. No more border. No, we don't need the border. We gotta integrate across all levels. Security, service, and defense. Create a common currency, and together we can only strengthen each other. Canada will strengthen the U.S. United States will strengthen Canada. You know, and with the French language, we're gonna continue to make the compromises we have. You know, and we're going to continue to make that compromise with a great language, and we're going to continue to make it, and that's how we're going to continue to do it, you know, with a great Canadian complex here, the North American Civilisation complex. And I'm going to watch on the youth like a hawk when they cross the street, you know, watch out for the cars, so they're happy, joyous, safe, and then they're the future, you know, they're innocent. I would say as a philosophy, you know, before you put on the armed forces uniform for defense, security, you know, security, armed forces. As I was born in the United States 3 times, once as a woman, twice as a man, and served in the United States Army, same U.S. Army, different wars, 156 years apart, the wars, but in the same army, you know. And of course, I say we gotta put a protocol. You gotta go change some diapers in the daycares, you know, and then you know what you're fighting for, because that's why you got a defense, you know. We're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. We're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball, you know. We're gonna play that defense like the hardball ball, referring to my 49ers, you know. When they lost, we're gonna play that defense, the blackout ball, aka the blackout ball, like my memory with the retrograde amnesia and blackout. I remember mostly the past 7+ years, and that's what I remember with that, and to get it on to do, you know. So we gotta get it, turn our heads left or right, and we gotta get it for the love, you know. They're happy, I'm happy, joyous. Joy is good, always good to have a little bit of joy. And see, we got to salute the person there, citizen at the corner, who's making sure the youth are crossing safely. And I'm gonna get out of the way of the youth. You know, this is the youth. Gotta salute the youth. That's what's worth fighting for, and you know, carrying a weapon and being armed for, you know. Defense forces, times for the Republic. Time for the Republic Army, you know. Time for the Republic Army. We gotta get it, do it for XYZ, and we gotta get it for the doers. And now we gotta also be prudent when we cross the streets, you know. When we cross the streets, you know, turn your heads left or right, because you never know, you know, the brakes malfunction, you know. The brakes malfunction, you know? So the brakes malfunction, and we gotta do it on the brakes malfunctioning. And the citizen might press the accelerator instead of the brake. The accelerator instead of the brake, you know. It might press the accelerator instead of pressing the brake. So that is something which can happen, can occur, you know. And it's things which gotta keep on a check on, because I'm in the public now. So being in the public makes that I have additional and extra responsibilities and obligations, which in the course, if I would have stayed in my underground dragon's lair, in my room off Sun Temple, it would have not been the same. I would have had less responsibilities, duties, and obligations. And I'm just gonna go to the gym, public gymnasium, and come back, because it's gonna be another shorty today. You know, yesterday was 2 hours and 44 minutes, and that is, Tuesday was more than 6 hours, and then Monday was more than 5 hours. So I'm still gonna clock in an average of more than 4 hours, because that's my average. But tomorrow I'm probably gonna clock in 7 or more than 7 tomorrow, Friday. I'm gonna clock in a long one, and more than 6 for sure. More than 6 for sure, more than 6, possibly even more than 7 hours of marching. I'm gonna go to the mountain, because that's my second home, and I went Monday, and I go Friday. I go at least once a week to the mountain, that's for sure. My second home, Mount Royal, I go at least minimum once a week, sometimes even every day. For years and years and years there at the Belvedere Conjuranak, and the Belvedere Conjuranak with the chalet, the Belvedere Conjuranak. And I will to discuss the DRT theory, super important again. But once again, I want to say my gratitude, grateful, thankful that my rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee, and as you just saw, that I was able to stash a little bit of a donation from the backpack. And we got to be mindful, of course, that corporations and other things aside is, of course, the producers of the food, sometimes small farms, medium farms, and big farms, and super mega corporations. And of course, we also have to be in mind, as I did a little bit of urban farming. I did myself a little bit of urban farming, you know. I also did some urban farming in the past, but I did a little bit of local a few years, and I cultivated my lettuce, my tomatoes, and other goods, and I harvested and I ate. So I have some experience farming, and sometimes that's what it is. And farmed, and the farmers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, those in the warehouse workers, and those, of course, on the streets, changing some of those, flipping some burgers, some hamburgers, some cheeseburgers, putting some of those pizzas, some salad, some lettuce, you know. That's what we gotta get the meditation about, you know, is them also, you know. They gotta be reminded, and they're also for their defense, you know. The nurses with it, you know. So the nurses with it, you know. So it's gonna do on the XYZ, and gonna turn my head left or right, you know, if I cross the street here, you know, because you never know. The brakes, you know, brakes malfunction. Citizen presses the accelerator instead of brake, and that's why you always gotta double prudence in the public, right? Because you never know, eh? By mistake, the driver might press the accelerator. I saw it happen a few times, or the brakes malfunction, or there's black ice, and the black ice, the tires. So all those, keeping in mind also the meteorological condition. Of course, we cannot be too concerned, of course, about about safety and security. We have to have a balanced approach, you know. It's liberty, also my liberty to work out, train, exercise, in parallel to me being aware of my difference, being that I have Asperger's, also known as HFA, that my bodily movements can seem awkward and can be pretty intense and focused when I march and stretch at the same time and do squats, push-ups and work out. And dancing is my favorite sport, and dancing is my favorite physical activity with sports. So I have those special interests, as people with Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autistics have, and those need to be encouraged. We can be very super concentrated, super intense, super in it, super intense, super in it, super concentrated when we are involved in those special interests, also known as obsessive interests. But I do not use the appellation and the word terminology obsessive due to the fact that, in consequence, obsessive has a more negative terminology. It has a more negative terminology rather than special intense interest is best for what we are as neurodivergents, as people with Asperger's who have a mental psychic divergence. And I don't want to waste anybody's time and be under give certain illusions that I'm without fault or lusts. Or, as a matter of fact, I lusted this morning, and I'm pansexual, androgynous, pansexual, and I rock and roll, work out, do geopolitics, and one LOV, black women, black men, white women, and black, white, and rainbow. But I am hyper vigilant, and I played that defense because I lived a lot of trauma, and survived being attacked and survived. So we're gonna play all that defense also. North American, Democratic Republican Army of North America, aka Dragon Army. Let's go. Pledge your allegiance to our family and friends with benefits only. Don't want to waste anybody's time. Rock and roll and pledge your allegiance to our family. Let's support the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom and public-private partnership. And I will with LOV to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. GODDSS, as you say, God bless Canada, God bless USA, yeah. But I got a slash and say goddess with her. It's goddess. Goddess is a spiritual mystic. I'm gonna say, you're gonna say God, I'm gonna also say goddess. So, whatever. Spirituality, I guess I can be very secular. I believe in higher power. I'm also a mystic myself, I don't have all the answers. And consent and hygiene, individual liberty with the collective security, collective prosperity, collective defense. Also, my interests can be in harmony with yours. My strengths, my weaknesses, which I do have as well. At certain things I'm mediocre, certain things I'm average, certain things I'm so. Being neurodivergent, living with HFA, high functioning autism, also known as Asperger's, being an ASPE, in certain social settings and social circumstances or other things, I can be pretty deficient, pretty not so good, pretty less able, really less able in certain things, and can, to do certain things can offend, can be rude, but it's not by intention, it's just because sometimes Asperger's, people like me, Aspies, are more direct and can seem abrasive. It's just, that's what it is. Like I say, pledge your allegiance, and friends with benefits only. I'm on Montreal, Hawk Island. I go often to the mountain and calling for the North American Democratic Republic. We gotta have a Democratic Republican Party of North America. Together, North Americans unite. Canadians, it's time for the Republic. The Republican Army for Defense Security Service only, the North American Integrated Citizen Defense League, the North American Legion, plays your allegiance, integrated security and service, and we gotta get doing. We got a lot of build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. We gotta build and rebuild, the North American infrastructure. And my brothers and sisters, billionaires within Wall Street, by a public-private partnership, we need to rebuild the North American inner urban cities, aka the North American ghettos. We gotta rebuild the North American ghettos, the North American inner cities, the North American ghettos. We gotta have to mass invest in the rebuilding, billions and billions and billions, hundreds of billions, in the rebuilding of the North American inner cities, aka the North American ghettos. We have to. Infrastructure, the aqueducts, public workers, mass public works, and I'm going to now discuss the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the universal exchange unit, so I'm going to turn my head left and right, and we're bouncing towards the sunset. We're going towards the sunset. That's where we're going to go, and I slipped a little bit, but I didn't fall. So I'm gonna to discuss the DRT soon. But once again, to say my gratitude. And wow, look at that! That's what I wanted to go see, the sunset. That's where we're heading, actually, towards the sunset. And the sun is rising and sun is setting every second. There's a sunrise and sunset every second. It is a sunset and sunrise every second. So just gonna start moving towards it like in an arrow. Good for you. Keep up that jogging. Always LOV to see people working out, training and exercising. That gives me some joy because I work out in my backpack now, having more than 44 pounds. I assume more than 44 pounds, you know. So I got a little bit of added weight on it. So that's always good. And meditate and think about the truckers, Canada, United States, Mexico, truckers going east, west, north, south with the bacon, the lettuce, the goods, the cheese, the milk and other products and condiments, the warehouse workers, those in the grocery store clerks, stacking up in the service industries, all workers. LOV to those who made less than 50,000 in 2024. It's 2025 now. First week really of 2025. Last year, those who made less than 50,000, including myself, tough financial times for many, myself included. I had jobs, employments, which I loved during COVID, I loved those jobs, the employments which I had during COVID, I really loved them. See, that's a French there. They're rebuilding the aqueduct to drink the water. That's what that says. It needs an English one. I don't mind doing volunteering and translating, but I don't have the money to finance it. I'm willing to put it in for the French language and the English, We can only strengthen ourselves, like I say, to the military armed forces, you're gonna have to be the North American Democratic Republic, We're gonna have to listen to the one Celine Dion song every day, in French, because we 10 million Quebecers, and we gotta listen to a little bit of French Celine Dion, and all be for the army, So reminded that we have 10 million Quebecers speaking that French, and we need to build good things and lay the foundations for the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA. Lay the foundations for the Dancing Goddess Army. The DGA lay the foundation for the Dancing Goddess Army, for the DGA, and lay the foundation for the Dancing Goddess Army. The Dancing Goddess Army, DGA, the North American Integrated Dance League, and the Dragon Army, for the Dragon Army with it, and of course the North American Integrated Dance League, with the North American Security Service and Defense Force, the Dragon Army. It's time for the Canadian Republican Army, Security Service and Defense, North Americans Unite. It's time for the creation of a common passport, and I'm calling for a big consensus, an audit of all we have, economic, financial infrastructure in North America, join Canada, US, and all citizens and people who live here, who have been here in Canada since, and from where they come in the past 7 years. Since I marked 7 years since I traversed Canada. I've been living where I live now for more than 7 years, and I used to live in Côte des Neiges, and whatever the case may be. So within the past 7 years, we need to do a great census, and we need to build 44 tunnels, 44 mass tunnels, build 44 across North America mass tunnels, inspired by the Montreal Underground City. So now I'm on the subject how I'm going to discuss the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. So why do I make this statement? That is the only solution. The DRT, debt refusion theory, is the only solution. The debt refusion theory is the only solution for the creation of the UE. So the DRT theory also includes monetary integration theory, the DRT. So the debt refusion theory is the only solution. Why do I make that statement? Make that statement to the fact that today we pay 46.5. Look at that beautiful lights there. Thank you, Hydro-Quebec, go. So today we pay, this year, fiscal year, we pay 46.5 billion in interest. A billion has 1,000 zeros. A billion has 1,000 zeros. Correction. A billion has 9 zeros. A billion is, I wanted to say 1,000 million. 1 billion is the equivalent of 1,000 million. It has 9 zeros. So 1 billion has 9 zeros. It's a billion is 1,000 million. So think about that number. This is just the debt servicing. In other words, just the interest which we pay on the debt, just the interest which we pay on the debt, just the interest which we pay on the debt is 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion. That's a beautiful blue. That's the amount of interest only that we pay on the public debt. 46,000 million. 46.5 billion in this fiscal year. In 2020, 2021, we paid 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion. That's the amount we paid in 2020, 2021 fiscal year. So in 3 years, it more than doubled. 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 In 3 years, from 20.3 to 46.5. 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6. So now it's 46.5. Right? So it more than doubled. Imagine that number. Sure, due to COVID, we had to implement the protocols for sustaining a population in a health crisis. And having survived COVID for me was hardcore. I thought that was it. I thought that was gonna be it for me, and I thought that was gonna die, and that's what it is for me with that. So having COVID is, that's what it is with that. That's what it is with the COVID in my situation. So that was really a big event in my life. There's the third lion. There's the third lion. Lion. That's the name of the company, Lion, you know. The Lion. I'm just gonna cross in the park here. And this is one way, but I still turn my head left and right. Although it's one way. In theory, they can come only from that way. But you never know. I mean, it could be that they don't know and they come from the other way. So that's why I do both. I turn to both sides, you know. I turn to both sides. So I gotta just bend a bit. Make sure there's no black ice, and that's how I go, rolling it. And it's not that deep. It's not that deep, and it's not that deep at all, actually. Not deep at all. Unless well, it's deeper in some parts of the snow, I meant. So the DRT theory, my brothers and sisters, is the only solution. That's the motive that I make the statement that the DRT is the only solution, due to the fact that we pay today, 46.5 billion in interest. Interest on a very debt. Just debt servicing, just the interest we pay on the public debt has more than doubled. Not the debt, just the interest paid on the public debt. So imagine that huge number. In 3 years, it more than doubled. So make an interjection or parallel to a personal financial dynamic. So imagine, of course, that you would have been having to pay interest, $156 in interest 3 years ago. $156 on your credit card or credit cards to get the interest that you would have had to pay, or me. Let's say $156, Canadian or US. And then 3 years later now, so 3 years from $156 paying interest, it would have went more than double to 333. Turn your heads left and right before you cross the street. To 333. Oh yeah, I love that one. That's nice. So from 156, even though Yoda would agree that my DRT TV, debt refusion theory, has to be implemented. I think even Vader also, both will have to agree. The left and the right, and in the center, this pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist democratic republican of North American United. Because we got to get not just a liberal conservative party, we got to have the democratic republican party to balance, and we got to have, balance and equilibrium. So harmony. So we gotta have to have the DRT. There's no other way. So as a personal dynamic, financial dynamic, it would have been exactly as going from $156 that you and me or somebody else, as an individual citizen consumer, would have had to pay in interest. So from 156 to go to 333, while more than double, and while the salary only increased by 5%, 10%, 15%, most salaries have not doubled. I know very few salaries which double, unless you got some sports, fitness, athletic contracts, or some business profits, or CEOs of wealthy billionaires, millionaires. Maybe they double the wealth, whatever they got increased, but majority, 99% of salaries of Canada, US, of North America have not doubled. There has been strikes, there have been some 5% increase, 10%, 15%, while many goods have increased. An average of goods, milk, butter, cheese, bacon, bread by 44.9%, eh? The average, 44.9%, about, I estimate, calculation. About the goods, the consumer goods, the ones that we need to survive. The ones that we need to survive, you know. I'm speaking about the goods that we need for our survival, mainly. For our survival, mainly. That's the goods I'm discussing at the moment. There's bread and butter issues, basically. Bread, butter, eggs, food, basically. And like, whatever. So, from 156 to go to 333, that's more than double. So obviously, if your salary would have not doubled or have an extra income, won the lotto, whatever, that means that you don't have to cut the budget, cut your Netflix subscription, right? Cut your Netflix subscription, cut maybe cell phone service, smartphone service, internet service, some Videotron service, whatever the case may be. Cut something in the budget, right? If you're more than double just paying the interest. So it's the same with the public finances where we are now. Basically, it's not sustainable. We cannot sustain it. It cannot be sustained. You realize, right? It's the math. The ratio of the paying the interest has more than doubled. Just the interest, not the principal, just the interest payment on the public debt. So my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, as much as you will to argue, is the only solution. We're about to perhaps, worst case scenario, tomorrow, Friday, Monday on the full moon on the 13th, or the coming days, weeks, right in the morning when Donald Trump gets inaugurated, takes over the realm of the presidency of the United States, 20th of January. Possibility that you're gonna see something public, potential, what's called in finance a black swan event, which is basically a rare financial event, but it's possible that a public financial collapse of Canada cannot be ruled out. The public financial collapse of Canada, the financial collapse of the public finances of Canada, basically a public financial collapse of the publics. So with the public, I get thank you for those who pick up the garbage. Today they're gonna pick up the compost, and I worked in 2018, 2019 on the compost. And I worked on in 2018, 2019 on the compost projects. You know, I'm just gonna get out of the way. There's no, can't see, but I can. When I get closer, I can see. I thought there was. See, I gotta check my vision. I gotta check my eyes, because from afar I wasn't sure. I couldn't see if there's a baby or not in the stroller, but when it got closer I could see, so I gotta check my eyes because from afar I think I have to, like more than 10 meters, my vision is blurred, so I kind of have to check. I've been waiting on a doctor for years, for a personal doctor. I've been waiting for years, on a personal doctor. I've been waiting for years on a personal doctor. I've been waiting for years, on a personal doctor. I've been waiting for years. A personal family doctor. Pledge your allegiance to our family, the DRT debt refusion theory. We must do it. There's no other way. We pay, the interest payments has more than doubled. So we're gonna have to do it. So it's the DRT, my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, also includes in it monetary integration theory. Turn your heads left and right before you cross the street for your safety and others. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, including my $10,000 to the RBC, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. And my DRT theory, keep in mind again, I repeat that it includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is exactly the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union, which was implemented in the European Union, which was implemented in the European Union, which was implemented in the European Union. The monetary integration theory was implemented in the European Union. Monetary integration theory. So my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, includes monetary integration theory, which was implemented in the European Union. In the 90s, the German central bank, they destroyed it. The Germans destroyed their central bank. The Italians destroyed their central national bank. So based on France also, they got rid of the franc and the national bank. So many countries in Europe, they destroyed their old national central bank. They destroyed their own national central bank. They destroyed their own national central bank and their own currencies they annulled. And they created a supra-financial institution, a supranational central bank. The ECB, the European Central Bank, is a common central bank for many countries in Europe that issues the euro. They no longer have central banks in nation states. So we're going to do the same here in North America, Canada, US first. At the same time, Canada, US first, Canada, US first, Canada, US first, Canada, US first. So Canada, US first, Canada, US first. So that we're going to do that, Canada, US first, and we're going to do that, Canada, US first, So we're going to do that, Canada, US first, So that's what we're going to do, Canada, US first, and take all the public-private debt, all the debt, we're going to convert all the Canadian public-private debt into United States dollars. And all that money added with the US, Mexico if they will, Haiti is part of the complex. Cuba now is a paradox because it's socialist communist, and from the newest development, they have been granted a certain status to join the BRICS alliance. So, but they're part of North America. Jamaica, Canada, US first, binational like the NHL. National Hockey League is not really national, it's binational. The PVHL also, Professional Women's Hockey League, Professional Women's Hockey League also is the new go. That's my next purchase, is a Victory Montreal Professional Women's Hockey League, and I wish they get triple their salaries because they play great, but definitely I love it. So that's my next purchase when I get money. I'm financially stressed now, but I want to get a Victoire jersey from the PVHL. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt. All that debt, including my $10,000, is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. We're going to create a new currency called the UE. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. The UE, U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. The universal exchange, So we're going to create all a public and a private partnership. We're going to create a public-private partnership for this. Create a new national North American integrated central bank like the European Union central banks. We're going to create like the European Central Bank. We're going to create like the European Central Bank, They did, but for North America, we're going to create the UE, Universal Exchange Unit. Universal Exchange Unit. With that money, we're going to be rebuilding the North American Coliseum, the North American People's Coliseum. We're going to be building that. Going to be building the Forgotten Goddess Temple. We're going to rebuild the infrastructure of North America, rebuild the North American inner urban cities, aka the ghettos of North America. We're going to rebuild that, build more hydroelectric dams, and construct 44 tunnels, build 44 tunnels, number after 43 before 45, 44 tunnels based on the Montreal, on the ground, village in Montreal, enabled to, in case of a thermonuclear war, which can potentially happen, and for the continuity of the North American civilizational complex, we're going to rebuild the continuity of the North American civilizational complex. We're going to rebuild the bridges, the infrastructure, mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, mass finance citizens for tourism, mass finance, citizens for tourism, mass finance, citizens for tourism, mass finance, citizens for tourism. And of course, thank you. LOV salutation to the train conductors, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, public workers who put the salt. I gotta give some special LOV salutations and send some love to those battling firefighters. LOV. Gonna dedicate this march, of course, to them as well. Dedicated to the firefighters California. We gotta build a North American Dragon Army for security, service, and defense, and responding in emergency situation, and responding in emergency situations, and responding in emergency situations. You know, we gotta build it for that. We gotta build it for that, and bridges, rebuild the bridges, build the aqueducts. Got a lot of rebuilding of the aqueducts. A lot of rebuilding of the aqueducts we gotta do. Rebuild. So that's the DRT, debt refusion theory. Create the universal exchange in it, or you know, just could be the dollar. The dollars could be the new dollar. You know, the United States of North America, or Democratic Republic of North America. But because Canada's true north, strong and free, I guess it's United States is south of us. So north, south. We got the south and the north. It could be, of course, strengthen each other. The north and the south we can strengthen, and Canada will strengthen the US and vice versa. But also I heard love Donald Trump say something about love, and love sometimes I love and amen. We gotta be sometimes centrism, as I'm a pro-liberal, love universal, revolutionary centrist. Public, my initiatives and my revolutionary centrism is tied hand in hand with my theories, the DRT, debt refusion theory, which I just discussed, the CIT, citizen integration theory, and the DFT, the democratic fusion theory, that trinity of theories to be implemented via the fourth dimension. That fourth dimension is love, because, you know, and I'm glad Donald Trump said in the question right away, without hesitation, he said, of course, that he would not take Canada by military force, but we gotta have by economic force, but without just force, you know. We gotta have to that here Canada through north, strong and free. To freedom and strength, we gotta add some loving. Just like my brothers and sisters, USA, land of the free, home of the brave. We both got free. True north, strong and free for Canada. You got land of the free, free and free, Canada, United States, in our mottos, you know, in our national anthems. We got brave, freedom, and strength. And we got to add some love to that. Add some love. And we cannot understand the philosophy, peace through strength. Especially since I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted the current conflagration that's happening worldwide. I predicted it back in 2019. I predicted it back in 2019 that is going to be a World War III type of environment situation in the coming years. I got proof of work. I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. In 2019, October, November, I predicted it in October, November. So ever since then, you know, that was my prediction. You know. So I predicted it, and that's it. That's all for the North American Democratic Republic, you know. For the North American Democratic Republic, North Americans unite. We gotta get it on the go, and we gotta get it on the do, and that's what we gotta do. And you know, sometimes we just gotta LOV also. And I'm healing from my scars, my wounds, and in the past more than 44 months, almost 45 months, I've accepted finally after years of diagnosis, and several people have told me and that I have Asperger's. I have high functioning autism, also known as Asperger's. So finally, I have to work on my characteristics because I have certain symptoms, and in certain social circumstances and social setting, I am less able. But now when it comes to geopolitics, sports, fitness, dancing, and of course rock and roll with it, we gotta do it on that go. So that's what it is. And see, that's a hybrid there. Canada Post, they have a hybrid. I'm always curious about the driving. It says hybrid on them, so that means that it's a joint, of course. Hybrid, joint hybrid, you know. That means that the car is driving on electricity, and of course on gas. So hybrid and electric is good. We gotta build more dams here. The lights that you see, the electricity, including the one that I'm utilizing in my smartphone now, comes from clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy. It comes from the Hydro-Quebec. You know, so we need to build more dams, and we need to integrate. And I gotta take some moment to sing some rock and roll. Thank you for the public workers. Hey, doing up, changing. Good job. See, Clear up the roads from the snow. Thank you, rock and roll. Clearing up the roads for the snow. Thank you, rock and roll. Clearing up public workers, the snow for the road. Thank you, LOV, you know. You gotta takes a public-private partnership. That's public service. Due to how much we pay interest, imagine that's a public service. Security is a public service, you know. We can't have private, everything. We have to have private and public. We have to have private and public. We have to have private and public. We have to have private and public, you know. That's what we have to have. Public-private partnership. We cannot just privatize. It's all so balanced. That's why I say the third party to be democratic republic. You know, democratic republic. Democratic republic. The private-public partnership takes a PPP, public-private partnership, for the North American Collective, for the security of the individual and the collective, you know. We have to create a common currency, and we have to let's build together the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple, and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. Something that we gotta build together, and the House of the Dragon, scarlet, crimson, and scarlet are shades of red, my favorite color. The pyramid, House of the Dragon, and the fourth building, the Rainbow People's Palace, for my fellow LGBTQ community, you know, being myself, androgynous, pansexual. That's just one part of me, you know. No need to spy on me. Secret Services of China, stay over there, don't cross the Pacific. And Secret Services of Russia, stay over there, no need to cross the Atlantic. We got to the east, we got the Atlantic and Pacific. So those are realities. I'm just gonna get out of the way. Those are realities of the North American civilizational complex, because we constitute a new and emergent civilizational complex. North Americans. He saluted. I said, no problem. Shook my head, no problem. Public work go, thank you, you know. That's why I am a bit safer on the streets, you know, because of them who passed. I gotta thank that, you know, because they passed. My marches are a bit safer. So civilization is a privilege, eh? Civilization is a privilege, or based on my thesis, which I presented back in 2023, called Privilege of Civilization. The privilege of civilization. Civilization is a privilege. The lights, the electricity, you know, the highways, the aqueducts, the trains, the planes. All we have is in the collective North American civilization, and our collective North American civilizational complex is a complex which is not only divorced, but is distinct from Western civilization. And, you know, Canada, US, let's get married. You know, let's get married. My being androgynous, pansexual, you know, my happy marriage would probably be BDSM switch cuckold marriage. My happy marriage probably be BDSM switch cuckold marriage. My happy marriage probably be BDSM switch cuckold marriage, you know. So we can put that as an individual, you know. And, again, no need to spy on me. Secret Services of China, Secret Services of Russia, here in Montreal, Rainbow Dragon, rock and roll, blah blah blah. Singing that song, may I be avenged, that 7 times sevenfold. Do the math. Singing that song, may I be avenged, that 7 times sevenfold. Do the math. Singing that song, may I be avenged, that 7 times sevenfold. Do the math. Rock and roll for the farmers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses. Gotta get that LOV, so that you and me, you see. On the trucks, you know you be. For the truckers and the butchers and the bakers and the truck fighters, LOV. You know that I swing those hips, hey, kissing not to miss, you know that I kiss and miss, I be seeing people loving, dancing, working out, building and rebuilding in North America. I'm playing that defense, you know. We gotta channel the violence. I do not like violence. Personally, I do not like violence. And aggression and intensity needs to be channeled. Aggression, that's why you got sportsmanship. Me, Dragon versus Trump, he's gonna be sportsmanlike. Could get a little bit ugly and rough, but nonetheless, Donald Trump, as much as I disagree, he's not my enemies. You know, we are North Americans. I was born in the USA 3 times post 7076 in past lives, previous incarnations, even served in 2 different wars, 156 years apart, the wars in the same US Army. I'm gonna play that defense, you know. It's time for the Canadian Republican Army. The Canadian Republic. North American Democratic Republic. Get rid of the border. Create a common currency. Create a common currency. Mass finance rebuilding and mass finance tourism. Canadians to go to the US to come to Canada to see what we're fighting for, you know. I want them to see, I want them to cross Canada based on my crossing Canada 2017 and my development of the Total Mobile Defense Theory System, or the TDMD, Total Mobile Defense Theory, or the TMDTS. Acronyms, the Total Mobile Defense System, or the Total Mobile Defense Theory, or the Total Mobile Defense System Theory. Here interchange system and theory and system and theory. You can interchange them, but nonetheless, that's my theory solely and only for defense, security and service for the Canadian Republican Army. The king is absent again. The king is absent. King is absent, brothers and sisters, and blah blah blah. I march more than the generals of the free world, generals of NATO during COVID. It's NATO troops can come here in Canada. We can build training facilities. We got so much land we can build those 44 tunnels, and for the North American Skyhawk, build more satellites and build some interceptors to be able to intercept intercontinental ballistic missiles, LCBMs, and the North American Hawk Defense Initiative. Initiate the North American Hawk Defense Initiative, or the Skyhawk, HAWK, like my totem bird, and for the hawk above with the scorpion below, because we got that species of Scorpio, and we got hawks, HAWK, my totem bird. We got hawks on Mount Royal, and we got Scorpios in North America. So there's a scorpion who comes all the way to Canada. It's called the Northern Scorpion. The Northern Scorpion, not making an astrological reference, although Joe Biden, my brother Joe Biden, calling on you, still president for a few days, is a Scorpio, and Bill Gates is a Scorpio. And of course, takes for the my financial DRT theory, debt refusion theory, takes another Scorpio. Black rock and black stone are different, but it's black stone. They were together before, but in 1989 they still work together on certain issues, but they were together in 1988 and 89 they kind of split, but still work on certain issues. Black rock, Larry Fink, another Scorpio, so it could be Sagittarius, Lions, Leo, Pisces, Geminis, Cancers, Capricorns, all the astrological sign, and of course it's the year of the dragon still, until I believe January 31st, for the next 2 weeks, or more than 2 weeks, more than 22 days, for the next 22 days and 44 minutes, maybe 22 days and 44 minutes, 22 days and 44 minutes. It's still the year of the dragon, but it's the last full moon of the year of the dragon in the lunar calendar, the Asian horoscope. So it's the year of the dragon. So that's about it with that rock and roll, and encouraging you to work out, train, exercise, pledge your allegiance, support the dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. My dream fundamentally for North American Union Democratic Republic, for rebirth security service based on my Total Mobile Defense Theory, or the Total Mobile Defense Theory System, or the Total Mobile Defense System. But it's a theory which has to be implemented, you know, to make it a system. But it's there. I cannot discuss it too much in detail because it's national security issues, you know, national security issues, and I collaborated with CSIS in the past, and CSIS, and we need to do a census. We need to do a census, and that's what it is with that, and so it is to get that rock and roll with the census, and we gotta get it now, you know. So it's security, liberty, security, prosperity. Please give some charity. I wish I would have had 44 billion when Trump got officially elected on the 6th, and I would have went until he got inaugurated and just took 10% of that 44 billion. 10% would have been 4.4 billion. 44 billion would have been 4.4 billion. 44 billion would have been 4.4 billion, and I would have just donated from those 44 billion. To just donate 10%, which is 4.4 billion, 50,000 to homeless veterans. I would have whispered, "This is your second chance. This is my redemption," and just given them 50,000. And with that $50, you could restart. If somebody was homeless on the streets, could get a hotel motel, rent a hotel motel, rent a hotel motel room for a few months, or just get an apartment, pay an apartment for a whole year, and get off the whatever addictions. Personally, I do not consume, use drugs. I still have legal cannabis is legal here. Cannabis and hashish is legal in Canada, so we legalized it. I am for generally legalizing cannabis and hashish, but although I don't do much myself and rarely but wine, but I would drink more wine at least twice in the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. During the Sabbath I would drink wine if I could afford it, but we got good wine here. Grapes, that's my favorite fruit. Grapes, I love grapes, my favorite fruit. And we have grapes here, vineyards in Quebec, La Belle Province, Canada. We have grapes, good wine, good cheese, good text, good everything. We just gonna strengthen each other. We're just gonna strengthen each other, you know. We can only strengthen each other. That's how we're gonna do, unite and make a great North American census. Everybody who lived here for the past 7 years, and do databases, public-private partnership, and get biometrics, create the UE, universally exchange unit, integrate. So I'm calling my astrological brother Bill Gates to build more supercomputer centers and databases and to do the census. And starts with me, Adrian Hana Dragon, with trillions of kisses from the forgotten goddess, trillions of kisses from the forgotten goddess, trillions of kisses from the forgotten goddess, laying the foundations for the dancing goddess, and the dragon kingdom, laying the foundation for the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. I'm just gonna look at the ice. I don't know, it kind of doesn't look too good, but it's gonna sing some rock and roll for the public workers who build arenas, so many arenas, and kind of looks, I don't know, kind of doesn't look that good, but I guess you can't complain. And I'm not gonna skate much this year because I don't have my skates, but I guess I would have loved to put some paint on it, and I would have loved to put some paint on it, but nonetheless, it looks, I'm not sure. Make an assessment. I guess you can skate, but not that well on it, and you need some work for work. But hey, public workers, you know, and thank you. I mean, for those who put it here, and it's something which we gotta be mindful of. And here's the public gym. Feel like doing a little bit of those pull-ups. Maybe not next time. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do maybe 3 pull-ups. Maybe 3 pull-ups. Maybe do 3 pull-ups here. I don't know. See, here. Gonna do pull-ups here.